right. Welcome back to this episode of the Revenue Generating Hour. I am Matt Coots, Chief Marketing Officer for RGA Network. I am joined today by my guest, Tina Morrison.
Hi, nice to be here.
Of Madeira. Please fill us in, because Tina's a longtime RGA-er, and this is the members-only podcast. So this basically is our opportunity to get together, have some real talk, and just talk about, explore your business and what's going on in the RGA world and in the Tina Morrison world. So there you go. Introduce.
Okay.
Give me a little background, or give everybody else a little background on how long you've been in the business, a little bit about your business, how you started it, why, all that good stuff.
Okay. So, hi. Well, thank you for having me here. And I'm Tina from Advertising Concepts of Madeira. And how I got started was actually something that I wanted to do. I went to college. I got a degree. I went in. I did some internships at some advertising agencies. But I didn't really like advertising agencies. I didn't like all the mock-up, all of the drama. I always found out I always liked doing the promotional product. But my first job out of college was at a print shack, a printing place. And I worked myself up from the graphic artist to the manager. And I really enjoyed doing promotional products. But they didn't like kids. They didn't like having families. They were not about that. They were all about animals. And I got married, and so I rolled the dice, and I started my own business in 1997. And I was able to raise my 3 boys and run my business. And now, as of 2021, all 3 boys have graduated high school and have moved on with their lives. So now I am starting to promote Advertising Concepts of Madeira full-time. So that's it in a nutshell.
So 24 years of something.
Yeah.
And so you weren't doing it full time for a lot of that time?
Well, not really.
It was more like fulfilling.
I mean, it's the only job I had besides raising 3 boys.
Right.
That
takes some time.
Yeah. So, that was very fortunate for me, because when they came home from school, I was able to adjust my office hours and always be there for them. Right. Or, I could work with my laptop on the road and do artwork when we did travel ball and things like that. So I was very fortunate. So
one of our core, call it beliefs, one of our core values is that freedom comes through entrepreneurship. Like it's the roadway to freedom. So at least in this country. So case in point, right? And
exactly.
Now you're able to build things up as much as you want, right? So
exactly. I could work as much as I wanted to. It depended on how many bills I had to pay that month, how dedicated I was. And what's really nice about promotional products is after you get into it and you learn the field, because there's a lot of mistakes you can make, you build your base business, and then you can always grow from that base, which RGA as a network has been able to help me maintain my business for the past 24 plus years.
Well, let's talk about that, because have you been with RGA since the very beginning?
Yeah.
I won't ask you how much you're paying. No, we don't do that.
Yeah, I'm an original.
Yep.
So yeah, we were all networking back then. There was a lot of free networking groups back then, and there was only one that was a paid networking group, and we were all talking about it. Hey, let's join a membership that is going to actually work for us. And Mark was in the room and said, hey, he raised his hand and said, hey, I'm going to start RGA. Who wants to go with me? And there's still a handful of originals that are still in RGA after, has it been 13 years, I think?
Yeah, this was the 12th Business Expo, so we got to be approaching the 13th year here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see the video clips of the past expos, and I'm like, man, this is just, it's so funny where just technology has changed, right? So,
right. Yes, you have to stay up with the times.
So that's awesome. So obviously, thank you for that. One of my favorite coaches that I pay attention to has this. He has this phrase, this saying, I guess you could say. It's long devotion towards a goal. And I can honestly say that of the people that I've met over the last year and a half or so that I've been personally working with RGA. Mark's had a vision for a long time now, and I think it's just getting clearer as we go, just even to the point of, doing this and RGA Speaks and everything that we're doing, the Women's Council inside of RGA, the
Right.
Business Council we're starting, the leadership team that we're creating. There's a lot of really awesome things. If you haven't lately, you should check out rganetwork.net. And John's not here, so I can't ask him what that website is one more time, but it's rganetwork.net. So let's talk about. Oh, look at that! Oh my God! Thank you, Rob.
There it is.
So
RGA, Mark, I have to say something about Mark. Mark O'Donnell's the founder of RGA, and he sat in that room, 13 years ago, and he raised his hand and said, hey, I'm going to start this up, and I promise that I'm going to work for you guys. And I have to say that Mark has really worked for all of his members, okay? He tries to help us. He builds us up if we're not doing well, if we're having a bad day, if, you have problems with other customers or clients, or you don't know how to do a mom, or you don't know how to work with the tech that is all growing, like you said, from way back in the beginning. He's always been there, and he's always helped everybody. So, it's been very beneficial to be an RGA member.
Yeah, and there's so much more that we're working on when it comes to actually helping businesses and from a promotional marketing standpoint. Not just the consolidating of all of our resources, which is a huge piece, but the I don't want to use the word magnifying, but the multiplying of that capacity is what I would say. So we've got some really cool things coming between now and January. Not just, that's the other thing too. A lot of what we're doing is built so that infrastructurally we'll be able to take RGA across the country. So there's a lot of things that we're building right now that somebody might be like, it seems like it's a lot of effort, Matt. And it is a lot of effort, but we're doing this to impact thousands of lives every single week, not 500, 600, tens of thousands, right? And that's where we're headed. So, but yeah.
And you and Mark also both have that vision where that it's going to help companies and personal people like me, entrepreneurs, or we're going to be able to grow our business because you guys are doing all that groundwork today.
Right. Right. Which you yourself are a part of. You're on our leadership team, and you're helping with the educational piece, and we're in the process of getting some video shots. So if you do end up joining RGA before January, that you will get them released to you. But the goal is to have all of our onboarding, our new member training set up on our on-demand platform here in the near future. So, and
I'm excited.
Yeah, Tina's going to be an integral part of that, obviously. So that's super cool. There's just so much going on. So I don't want to focus too much on RGA here. I don't want this to be an RGA piece, and it's very easy for us to do that. So let's kind of refocus. Tell me about some of what your favorite projects have been over the years of doing promotional stuff, because I know you've got the cool cups, and I don't want to get into necessarily individual pieces per se, but you've definitely got this kind of niche where if something's going to be feasible or not. We were talking about business cards not that long ago, and you're explaining how paper is just in ridiculous demand right now, and I would never have thought that. But there's just you have a lot of industry experience over the last 24 years here. So just what are some of, let's do two things. One, what's been some of your favorite projects or your favorite project? And then the second thing, and I'll remind you of it, or what are some trends that you're seeing right now as far as some things that people seem to be picking up on? So first favorite project, and then B, trends.
Okay, I think my first favorite project was when I worked with the SRO. So SRO means School Resource Officer. And when I first started in the 90s, in the late 90s and the 2000s, every single school, elementary, middle, and high school, had a full-time officer in the state of Florida, and they would go to continuing education. And I would be part of that conference. And it was so interesting to be able to help these officers, because whenever, if you're a student and you get called into the principal's office or the SRO's office, you're obviously very, very nervous. So we tried to find things that they could fiddle with, that they could stress balls and things that would like release that anxiety. But my absolute best project with the SROs is we did like mock funerals. We did a large campaign about don't drink and drive, right? Don't drink and drive. And we came up with some graphics, of, drinking in the car to the tombstone. And we had a really good PSA that we did a mock funeral. And it was really heart-wrenching. But we had a bunch of students volunteer. We had some, obviously a lot of officers volunteered. We had a car that was actually in a very bad collision, part of the whole video. So that, I have to say, was one of my best memorable things that I've done in the last 20 years. That was a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed working with the SROs. And I still work with a few of them now. Unfortunately, every school in Florida doesn't have a full-time officer, but there's officers, they do part-time now.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really neat. The video, I still have a copy of it. Of course, it's VHS, so that might date it right there. But, it was an interesting project to work with everybody and be part of, because everybody had embroidered shirts. All the kids, they learned a lot, because not only in a promotional aspect, but as in an aspect of attending a mock funeral, okay? I think it really hit home with a lot of people, like, wow, maybe I shouldn't drink and drive. So, I hope that it worked. I wish we did things like that still,
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, especially here in Florida, it's like pandemic and then now hurricane, and it's like, it's just one thing after another.
Well, it is always one thing after another.
It's Florida.
Yeah. And back to the pandemic. So the pandemic is hurting our supply chain, as everybody knows. Like you said with the paper, who would have ever thought something like paper would have been affected, but it's been greatly affected. So right now, like the trends that we're finding is nobody wants anything to do with the pandemic, right? Everybody's like, finally, it's over. I want to promote my business that without hand sanitizers, without masks, without anything that reminds you of it. So right now we've been doing a lot of really fun items. I think I've noticed that the trend has been like to squishy balls and fuzzy top pens and screen cleaners, things like that are just nonsense. But I think it just makes people smile right now because things have been so stolen for so many months.
Right. No, that makes sense. I can totally see that.
It's been kind of fun, and it's really fun to shop for things like that.
Right. So, do you where do most of your? You said that there's like a lot of supply chain disruption. So I feel like you've done a lot of your products are mostly not mostly, but a lot of your products are made in the U.S. Right?
A lot of them are, and I did that switch back in 2020. Sort of researching, okay, who's going to be USA made? Because a lot of things in the real world, okay, everything is made in China and it's brought over here blank, and then we have huge factories that print on it. So they're like, oh yeah, well, here we have it in the USA. But when they run out of that stock, guess what? It's not really made in the USA. It's only printed here. So I have quite a few vendors that actually custom mold their sports bottles and their stadium cups, wooden pencils in the USA, things like that. I've tried to go out and find them and become an authorized vendor of them because that's the way of the future.
Right, for sure. So, do you do work with anyone, is there local companies that do that, or is it more outside of the Florida area?
No, I have quite a few factories in Florida. We have Trevis in Florida, we have Bullet Line in Florida, we have Hit Promotions in Florida. Cool. Alpha Broder. So we have quite a few in Florida. But believe it or not, I go after the best quality and the best price. So I don't always deal within Florida.
For sure. And that's probably good too, because then when a hurricane does hit, your supply chain may not be completely disrupted. Your business doesn't get completely.
Oh, but you know what? You never know, okay? Because like this last hurricane, right? It took out my Largo facilities. It took out my Orlando facilities, and then it decided to take out my Georgia and South Carolina facilities.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's a good thing that I have some stuff going on over California and Texas now,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
right?
That was a big storm. We're alluding to Ian, depending on when you catch this recording.
Right.
So, okay, so obviously that's good. People are not necessarily staying with the whole pandemic with their promotional items. They're starting to go to more of the fun,
Yes.
interesting, the entertainment factor of that comes with promotional items. So that's really cool. That's good to know. What are some ways that people can stand out when it comes to their promotional items and what they want to order and all of that? Obviously, if you have this unique concept of what you can do, that's great. But when it comes to actual just the things that most people can, because really, you're the one who's out there finding all of these unique things that you can actually take. So you're the one who's presenting all of the options to them. But when it comes to like how somebody can differentiate, is that more of like logo? Is that more of like the like if there's word art? Like how does somebody go about differentiating with this sort of marketing piece?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and first ask you if you have a budget, right? You have to have a budget. So you have an event coming up in 2 weeks. Okay, great. What's your budget for promotional products? And people don't even think about that. So having a price tag on it helps. But another thing that really helps, the second thing after you get your budget, is like, who are you going to target, right? Are you going to target everybody coming down the pike? No, you're not. Are you only going to target women? Are you only going to target men? Are you only going to target children? That makes a big difference on what I'm going to present to you. I just did a women's conference for self-defense, right? So what did we do? What did we do to stand out? You want to know? We did those ice packs that you put in the freezer. We did hot pink ice packs that you put in the freezer. They're going to last forever.
Forever. Nobody throws those out.
Nobody throws those out. And they have that conference on it. So, I mean, what a great way to stand out for a women's conference on self-defense, right? Everybody gets a little banged up when you're learning self-defense. And it's also something that you can always use in the future. So, I mean, it really depends on who your target is first. And then it depends on what your company is. Because a lot of people I deal with, they've been to a conference and they got this really cool product and they really want it for their company, but it absolutely makes no sense for their company. You know, so you have to think about that too. You know, there's a lot that goes into promoting your business. So you do stand out.
Right, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the things that I've been thinking about in the back of my head. So now that I've got you here, I'll just throw it at you. You know, there's a lot of events that RGA members go to that are not RGA events.
Right.
There's a lot of chamber mixers. There's a lot of organizations that we're a part of. So one of the things that I was thinking that we should do is we should come up with something that we can go and hand out when we go to those events, just from an RGA, some little thing with RGA on it. So
right.
We'll, you know, brainstorm that a little bit, and let's get together and discuss that at some point, because I think if we did that and you know, doled those out when somebody said, oh yeah, I'm going to a 5-chamber mixer. Oh great, let me. Here, as opposed to handing out a business card or, you know, something
that's going to last, right? Something,
you know,
right? Something that's going to last too, because you know you get so many business cards at that event, right? And I love business cards. Don't get me wrong, but you get so many of them. Yeah, you get lost in the weeds. Yeah, so sometimes it's nicer to hand out a notepad or a pen or something. Or what I just got was eyeglass cleaners. And you fold them up so they're the shape of a business card, but they're usable, you know, and then you're going to keep them in your purse. You're not going to share that eyeglass cleaner.
Right, for sure. One of the other things that we've been discussing is a little precursor for everybody who's going to watch this at a certain point is we're going to come out with a RGA, like a, did we actually figure out what we were going to call it? Like this year in RGA workbook type deal? I don't know if
Well,
we actually
I was thinking of the portfolio, but I know that there's some more work that needs to be done to it. So I don't know what we're going to call it.
It's more of like a business journal.
Right.
Think about it. So I don't
A
know.
referral partner, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but I think the goal is to kind of identify like the activities that people need to do, and just keep that top of mind. Because if they're
Right.
showing up with this book to every meeting, then the chances of them remembering, hey, I do need to have 2 or 3 moms this week. Hey, I do need to ask so and so if I can speak. Oh, hey, I do need to see if I can get on the RGA podcast. You know, I do need to reach out to John and see if I can come do a TV episode this month, right? Like, there's all these different things. I mean, personally, it astounds me that people don't use John's studio. I mean, it's Port Richey. I get it. It's 45 minutes away from the southern edge of. Well, it's probably a little bit more than 45 minutes from the southern.
Everything is far away, though.
Nothing's
you know,
close. And
yeah,
you know, for what he charges for being able to do like the TV interviews here, because I don't know if you've heard yet, but like they started doing them in short enough clips that you can put them on any of the social media platforms.
See, and you know, it's funny because you talked about technology, right, and how it's changed from like when we first started RGA.
Yeah.
Because I did one of the TV shows way back in the day,
yeah.
And nowadays technology has changed so much that this little clip can be added to, like you just said, your social media, your Facebook, your LinkedIn,
Yeah.
your website. I mean, it's has so much value that people don't take advantage of it, and they should.
Well, and especially like podcasts like this. So when you do a podcast like this, you can first off, you can strip the audio out of this and turn it into a just pure audio podcast that goes out to all the platforms. But then you can also take this and you can take clips of it and you can put it on social media. You can take the full thing and upload it to YouTube. You can take the transcript from it and turn it into a blog post. Or
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
So there's all of these ways that you can really utilize media content if you're creating it. And I think that that's one of the things that, you know, first off, you're either not making enough content or you're making enough content, but you're not utilizing it.
And
right?
You have to utilize it. And, you know, that's something I learned a long time ago, was do what you do best and farm out the rest. Okay, I do promotional products. I do it really good. I do artwork. I do it really good. I'm not so good with my paperwork. So farm it out, you know, so you have the time and you have professionals helping you. And you can find all those professionals right here.
Right. So let me ask you this, because we got 4 minutes left.
Okay.
So RGA Speaks, we just finished month 1. We did the month 1 wrap up of all of the business builders and all of the meetings. The first topic was obviously clarity of purpose, clarity of value, clarity of action. We just had last Wednesday, we did the second month of RGA Speaks, and that was on like a 90-day sprint framework, and then the mindset piece, how to shift into motion, and then overcoming objections, give you some strategies for that. One of my biggest takeaways, and I think I said this last week. Actually, I think I said this in the Q&A at the live stream. But one of my biggest takeaways is that in overcoming those objections and that formula that was given, it was utilizing, like, getting the experience of the people around you and creating a team, and being able to have like real conversations with them where you came up with solutions to problems that you were facing and all of that. And it's funny because when I made the first week's business builder and sent that out over the weekend, one of the things that I did was I put a place on there that said, what professional, because I don't want it to be somebody's spouse, don't want it to be somebody's kid, what professional is going to help you be accountable to these goals that you're going to set over this next month? And how often are you going to actually meet, right? Because I think that, especially in the education realm, it's very easy for people to go sit somewhere, listen to something for 10 minutes, even if they go to like 3 meetings in 1 week and hear the same message 3 times. It's very easy to hear it, but not really hear it, and not to take action from it. And so, like, one of the things I just wanted to ask you was what you had thought and what you had heard about RGA Speaks so far, because I think we need to definitely continue the push. But we had over 350 people on that live stream last Wednesday, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's over half of the membership. And I know I just took 2 minutes of that but so,
that's okay.
So you heard that very long-winded question, right?
Yes. I think that the RGA Speaks is another phenomenal thing that you guys are adding in for all of the members. And I take a lot away from it, but it's real easy to get caught up in the weeds. My husband's always like, Tina, you're caught up in the weeds. Because I'll listen to a 45-minute, a 30-minute presentation, and I'll hang on to a 10-minute section that I feel like I have to do. So I have a girlfriend, and we don't meet in person, but we meet over the phone like weekly. Like, okay, what are your goals this week? Okay, hey, did you do this last week? You said you were going to do this. And it really helps to have a partner keep you grounded and make sure that you follow through on the things you're supposed to follow through. And that's what I like about RGA Speaks, is because sometimes we forget. We're caught up in our own business, and we're trying our best to just in our own little world with our blinders on. And when you do the RGA Speaks and you talk about clarity and you talk about growing, sometimes it helps because you have to do it, but until somebody repeats it to you a couple more times, you forget about it.
For sure.
So I've only heard good things about it.
I love that. That makes me happy. And yeah, we're trying to keep it simple. Okay, so 5 seconds. Where can somebody find you, Tina?
Okay, you can find me at Tina at Ad Concepts Online. My website is adconceptsonline.com, or you can text me 727-510-1197. Tina Morrison from Advertising Concepts of Madeira.
Thank you. And we'll see all of you guys soon on the next episode.